tragic incident was reported from Bulat Sinhala today, where a wooden stick pierced a 16-year-old boy's neck after a fall from a tree.
Now, according to hospital sources, the boy is still in surgery, and we at Newsfirst take this moment to pray for the safe recovery of the child.
Good evening and welcome to Primetime News. You're with me, Nicola De Zoiza.
And I'm Sandro Ferdinando. We start off with a look at your headlines.
Train services likely to be hampered due to shortage of train engines.
ඉදිරි අයවැයෙන් පසු අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා මේ දුම්රිය වලවේ කට්ටල 15ක් පමණත් ඒ දුම්රිය එන්ජින් 10ක් පමණත් දුම්රිය මැදිරි සාමාන්‍යයෙන් අඩුම තරමින් 50ක්වත් ඉදිරියට ගේන්න.
Mystery space debris expected to hit southern seas of Sri Lanka. No harm expected. 6 suspects remanded over murder of karate champion Vasanta Zoisa. Wooden stick pierces student's neck after fall from tree. Boy subjected to surgery.
On our top story today, railway sector trade unions issued a warning to authorities today. They charged that the shortage of train engines could lead to a disruption of train services.
A senior officer attached to the Department of Railways says that of the train engines that were imported from France over a decade ago to be used on the upcountry tracks, only one engine is in operational condition. He added that the other train engines have been damaged beyond repair. Railway trade unions say that of the 96 train engines owned by the Department of Railways, only 59 are in operation. They add that 13 train engines are completely inoperational, while 24 others are pending repairs. According to these trade unions, in 2010, 20 S11 Indian power sets were brought to the country and 4 of them have been cast aside, while 12 of these power sets are included into the operations following daily repairs.
20 of the power sets imported from India were brought down on loans at the end of 2010. In 2011, we experienced a failure in the traction motors. In 2013, all the power sets required repairs. The generators of S-class engines are very weak. The generators of trains are at risk of malfunctioning. These are not in operational status. 10 M9 engines were imported from France. Each one is worth around 220 million rupees. At present, the situation of these engines are beyond repair.
අබලන් තත්ත්වයට පත් වෙලා තියෙන අලුත් එඩියක් කරන්නත් බැරි තත්ත්වයට පත් වෙලා තියෙනවා.
අපි දුම්රිය එන්ජින් බලවේග කටල ආනයනය කිරීමේදී අපිට පැහැදිලි ප්‍රතිපත්තියක් නොතිබේ.
We did not have a clear policy when importing train power set engines. Therefore, we started importing from Europe and have even gone to India and China to purchase these power set engines. What has happened as a result is that the cost of maintenance of these engines have increased and a situation where the maintenance cannot be done on time has arisen. We strongly object these engines being deployed for services without the defects and the weaknesses of them being resolved.
Speaking to News First, General Manager of Railways Vijay Amratunga said that issues arise in every train engine when in operation. He added that the trade union action by railway technicians has also attributed to this situation. General Manager of Railways says that the maintenance of train engines did not take place as scheduled.
M9s were imported from France. Those engines do not suit our country. Once you turn on the M9 engine, it can travel up to 500 kilometers in one run. However, in Sri Lanka, that is not possible.
The Deputy Minister also commented on the Indian power sets.
Some compartments do not have the footboard and are designed on a 90-degree base. There are issues surrounding the purchasing. We hope to investigate the purchasing process. M4 engines are over 50 years old. We continue to use the M2. We can import better engines from Europe. As trade unions, what we say is to import better train engines and compartments.
දැනට අඳුනාගෙන තියෙන විදිහට බලවේග කට්ටල තව 15ක්.
In order to meet the requirements of our timetable, we require another 15 power sets, 10 train engines and 50 to 75 train compartments. Trains from Romania and Canada more suit Sri Lanka, while the best power sets are Korean. Indian and Chinese power sets will not be suitable for Sri Lanka. Through the next budget, we hope to make allocations for 15 power sets, 10 train engines and around 50 train compartments.
පමණක් දුම්රිය මැදිරි සාමාන්‍යයෙන් අඩුම තරමින් 50ක්වත් ඉදිරියට ගියා.
A piece of space junk is expected to plummet to the southern seas of Sri Lanka next month. According to foreign media reports, researchers yet do not have any idea what it is.
The object, which has been dubbed as WTF-1190F, is set to land in the Indian Ocean, around 65 kilometers off the southern tip of Sri Lanka at 6:20 UTC on the 13th of November. It measures up to 7 feet or 2 meters in length, and it could be a piece of a rocket stage from a recent lunar mission, or even part of an Apollo program craft that has been in space for more than 40 years. But rather than threatening life on Earth as we know it, the object will give scientists a rare opportunity to observe a relatively small impact from its approach to landing. WTF-1190F's trajectory was first calculated in 2012. The unknown object was rediscovered by astronomers at the Catalina Sky Survey based at the University of Arizona earlier this month. More unusual still, WTF-1190F was a lost piece of space debris orbiting far beyond the moon, ignored and unidentified, before being glimpsed by a telescope in early October. WTF-1190F is a rare breed of space object. Researchers are currently tracking only 20 or so artificial objects in distant orbits. There are probably many more such pieces of space junk in orbit around the Earth-Moon system, but it is impossible to say how many. No others are known to have made the return trip to Earth, although it is likely that some have done so without anyone noticing.
This object is currently estimated to be only about 1 to 2 meters in diameter and would cause no damage or anything, because most of it is expected to burn up in the atmosphere. This sort of space debris crashes onto the Earth very frequently and estimated about once a day, but this is the first time that we have predicted time to when it will crash, and therefore it has created some interest. The object is in orbit, which takes it out to about twice the lunar distance, and therefore it is now at about lunar distance, and its next orbit it is expected to come in and enter the atmosphere on the 13th of November.
WTF-1190F is a piece of rocket. It will be the first piece of man-made junk to return home independently. Experts predict most of it should burn up upon re-entering the atmosphere, so it will not create a terrifying tidal wave or crater as seen in disaster films.
6 of the 8 suspects who were arrested yesterday over the murder of karate champion Wasantha Zoisa in Anuradhapura have been remanded until the 9th of November. The remaining 2 suspects have been detained for further questioning.
Police arrested 8 suspects for the murder of Wasantha Zoisa, causing injuries to a group of persons and damage of property. The suspects were produced before the magistrate, subsequent to being produced before the judicial medical officer of the Anuradhapura Teaching Hospital. The police said that the suspects had informed the magistrate that the chief suspect, who is said to have orchestrated the murder, is a deserter of the Army Special Forces. As there was no lawyer appearing on behalf of the suspects, the magistrate ordered the police to hand over a report to court containing the progress of the investigation. Police said that a total of 14 suspects have been arrested in connection with the murder. They added that 5 police teams have been assigned to arrest 9 other suspects. Further investigations revealed that 2 of the 8 suspects arrested were deserters of the Navy. 6 other suspects were arrested today. Investigations are being carried out to apprehend more suspects. Karate champion Vasantha Soisa was murdered by a group of armed men who entered a nightclub he owns down Mudithamawatha in Anuradhapura on Saturday night. The final rites of Vasantha Soisa were conducted in Anuradhapura this morning. A 16-year-old schoolboy is currently in surgery at the Colombo National Hospital as a result of a wooden stick piercing through his neck after he fell off a tree in Bulat Sinhala.
Relatives of the boy said that the incident took place around 10 a.m. today when the child fell off a mango tree in a paddy field close to his house. A wooden stick had pierced the area just below the victim's neck after the fall.
He went to the fields with his uncle in the morning. Thereafter, he had climbed a mango tree to pluck some fruits. He then fell and a wooden stick pierced through his neck. I made a call and then we rushed him to hospital.
The boy, who was admitted to the Bulat Sinhala District Hospital with the assistance of the locals of the area, was later transferred to the Horana Base Hospital. According to our correspondent, the child was thereafter transferred to the Colombo National Hospital. Director of the National Hospital, Dr. Anil Jasinghe, said that a team of doctors at the hospital are in an effort to save the child's life.
Buddhists today mark Vap Full Moon Poya Day. Vap Poya marks the offering of the Katina Chivara or new robes to Buddhist monks who observed Vas, rainy retreat, beginning from Asala to Vap.
Vap Full Moon Poya Day is a day of paramount importance to Buddhists worldwide and particularly in Sri Lanka due to a number of special events taking place on this day, some of which take place annually. On a day like this, King Devanampiya Tissa sent his minister Aritta to the Emperor Dharmashoka in India as an envoy. In response to the message, Emperor Dharmashoka sent a sapling of Sri Mahabodhi to Sri Lanka in a golden bowl and handed it over to Arahat Sangamita Theri to be taken to Sri Lanka. It was on Full Moon Poya Day that Buddha visited the heavenly abode of Tautissa. On Vap Poya, Katina Chivara is presented to the Buddhist monks who observed Vas. The period from today until the Il Poya will be known as the Chivara period. So during this month, Katina Chivara is presented to the monks not only in Sri Lanka but across the entire world. On this Vap Poya Day, let us follow firmly the 5 precepts, as this day is of paramount importance to Buddhists.
Supreme Court Judge Priyasad Dev was sworn in as the acting Chief Justice before President Maithripala Sirisena today. The swearing-in took place at the President's official residence. High Court Judge Shriyani Dilivera was sworn in as a judge at the Court of Appeal.
The Department of Meteorology says that thundershowers could be expected in several parts of the island tomorrow.
The Department of Meteorology said that while there could be thundershowers after 2 p.m., there could be temporary localized strong winds in certain areas. The persistent rain continued to batter several areas of the island today as well. Vehicular movement on the Doluwa Kandy Road in Gampola was hampered as a result of an earth embankment collapsing on the road around 2 this afternoon. Locals in the area request an immediate solution to this issue as travelling on this road poses an imminent threat. The Malimpoda tank in Bibila is at the risk of breaking its banks if the rain persists. As only 95% of the construction of the tank has neared completion, officials of the Department of Irrigation arrived at the location to inspect the situation. If this area receives a rainfall of over 2 inches over the next few days, we will be compelled to open the sluice gates of this tank, especially in the Mallahava, Kotasara, Badulugamman areas of this tank to remain vigilant. Heavy downpours in the Ampar district inundated the Mavadipalli bridge on the Kalmune main road. Minister Sajid Premadasa addressed a meeting in Beliata.
Various things are being revealed. The President had discovered a palace inside the presidential palace. The discovery was made underground. During the time of war, the head of state requires a bunker. We accept that. However, furniture for the bunker was imported from Italy. Do you need Italian furniture for a palace underground? Do you need to spend millions and millions to establish an underground palace? There is no issue over the construction of a bunker. There needs to be a bunker. The president or the head of state needs to be protected. However, what was constructed was not a bunker but a palace. These are unnecessary expenditures. This is unbearable. We have stopped this crime and this waste and all unnecessary expenses.
Luxury bunker discovered at the presidential palace.
I do not know that. I do not look into those things. I do not look into the expenses. I said that this was necessary, so they did what was necessary. There is a bunker at Temple Trees.
Luxury bunker at Temple Trees. For your attention.
Still in local news, a minister of the former government, Vinegamurthy Muralidharan, alias Karuna Amman, spoke to Newsfirst exclusively today.
You were the vice chair of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party. Why have you decided to join with the TULF of Ananda Sangari?
I have no issue in the Sri Lanka Freedom Party. I was the vice chair of the party. I worked well in the party. I worked in the Sri Lanka Freedom Party for 10 years. The north and the east was developed. There are no issues. I want to help the Tamil parties. I want to build a democratic party.
Do you believe that you will be able to build democracy by joining Ananda Sangari's TULF?
Yes, I do. His party is an old party. For Tamils, the TULF is an old party. Everyone was with that party.
You can watch the full interview on our 10 p.m. news bulletin on Sirasa TV. Up next is News in Brief.
The Police Special Task Force had successfully raided a deforestation process of 100 acres of forest land of the Veerakulicholai proposed reserve in the north of the Wilpattu National Park. This is the manner in which large trees such as Thammanna, Veera, Kalumediriya and Satinwood had been felled and prepared to be moved as timber. It is believed that these tree trunks may have been cut down into smaller sizes before moving them out of the forest. The racketeers had also destroyed the elephant fence in order to facilitate the transportation of the felled timber. Our correspondent said that information of the timber racket was unearthed after a small truck carrying felled timber was discovered yesterday. The Sri Lankan Navy detained 34 Indian fishermen and 7 boats in the early hours of today on charges of poaching in Sri Lankan territorial waters. The Sri Lankan Navy seized 2 boats north of Kankasanturai, 2 boats off the Delft Island and 3 boats in close proximity to Talaimanna. Four persons were injured in a motor accident that took place in Kapuatta Jaila this morning. Police said that the accident was a result of a 3-wheeler crashing onto the rear of a bus. A 59-year-old woman died when a car veered off the Kalutara Horana road in Biyagama and crashed onto an electricity post. A group travelling from Kandy to Karapitiya had thus met with the accident. A car crashed onto a parked van in Theravangua in Hanguranketa early this morning. After crashing onto the van, the car then crashed onto a wall. Our correspondent said the 3 persons who were travelling in the car and sustained injuries were hospitalised.
International media reported that Sri Lanka is selling global bonds for the second time this year as the government faces a wider budget deficit and a weaker currency.
According to the report, which was today published on a business website, the issuance is ranked B+ by Standard & Poor's and its size is yet to be decided. The website, quoting a source familiar with the deal and not authorized to speak publicly, says that the sovereign is marketing 10-year notes and indicated it expects the securities to yield around 7%. Sri Lanka sold $650 million of similar maturity debt in May at a coupon of 6.125%.
Deputy Chief of Staff of the Prime Minister's Office, Rosie Senanayake, attended an event at the auditorium of the Ministry of Women and Child Affairs in Setsiripaya.
Leaders, especially young leaders. The event was organized for the inauguration of the UN Foundation's Girl Up Club Sri Lanka in partnership with Sri Lanka Girl Guides Association. The main reason I entered politics is to ensure that there is at least 30% of female representation in our country's political affairs. The current Prime Minister, Ranil Wickremesinghe, was very clear in his discussion with me last morning when he said that in order to increase the female representation in local government institutions by 25%, a program must be launched. I, together with a number of women who are currently working at the Prime Minister's office, have drafted a proposal of steps that can be taken to increase female representation by 25%, and we hope to present them to Parliament as soon as possible.
We have free education, and although women are entitled to the same rights and facilities in the health and education areas, there are still some areas where we have to do some work. In our medical profession, we actually look at it in a slightly different way. We actually think that we have to go to the men also to get over this problem. It's not only the women that we have to target.
With that, we wrap up the news. Thank you for joining us. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Nicola De Zoiza.
And I'm Sandro Ferdinando.
Take care and good night.